We've been talking about the Internet of Things for a long time. It's time to put our knowledge into practice. We'll start with a simple implementation in Python on your machine. The goal in this part is to test everything we've seen without any equipment other than your computer. We're going to open two terminal windows. In one, we'll run a program that will emulate an object with three sensors. This object will communicate with a server that will collect the information. The communication will be done internally with a socket using the loopback interface. Let's start by building a basic server that will display everything it receives. We'll create a socket that will wait for ADP data on port 33033 coming from any client indicated by the wildcard address 0.0.0.0.0. In a loop, each time data is received, we display it followed by its hexadecimal representation. We launch the server program. Since no one is talking to it, it displays nothing. On the client side, let's first look at the virtual server module with the class of the same name. The goal is to reflect the behavior of a sensor in a somewhat realistic way. We see in the main program that we create three virtual sensors, one for temperature, another for pressure, and the third for humidity. The start argument specifies the starting value, variation, the range of variation, between two measurements, and minimum and maximum the values not to exceed. Finally, we have an infinite loop that displays the different values. We can now write a script that uses this module. We create a virtual temperature sensor. We read a value and send it to the loopback address 127.0.0.0.1 on the server port 33033. Crash! Why? Well, because we forgot about serialization. The value is a variable in the client's memory, and it needs to be converted into something we can send. We can, for example, transform it into a character string with the str function, then into a byte string with the encode function, because that's the type expected by send, and there we were able to send the information, which is in turn displayed by the server. If we want to send the values of the three sensors, representation via a character string is a bit more complicated, because on the client side, we need to invent a way to separate the values. But especially on the server side, we need to decode this string to find the integers, and that's much more complex to do. The simplest solution is to put these three values in a Python array and transform it into a JSON representation using the dump_s function from the JSON module. This JSON character string is in turn transformed into a byte string with encode and sent to the server. In our case, the server only displays the character string, but you can use the load_as method from the JSON module to deserialize and make it a Python structure in the server, on which it is now easy to perform operations such as, for example, calculating an average.